I feel like I just fucking did this and I did like 8 hours ago. Alright, what day is it? This bitch is the 20th of Adar, Monday. 20th of Adar, 5786, Monday, March 9th. Ready to roll? Do the thing. Should start focus on this. No one knows for sure. Elu ve elu. Divrei Elohim Chaim, but this is the Missouri we live by. Let's see if we can get this one down. No one knows for sure. Elu ve elu. Divrei Elohim Chaim, but this is the Missouri we live by. No one knows for sure. Elu ve elu. Divrei Elohim Chaim, but this is the Missouri we live by. No one really knows for sure. Elu ve elu. Divrei Elohim Chaim, but this is the Missouri we live by. No one really knows for sure. Elu ve elu. Divrei Elohim Chaim, but this is the Missouri we live by. No one really knows for sure. Elu ve elu. Divrei Elohim Chaim, but this is the Missouri we live by. No one really knows for sure. Elu ve elu. Divrei Elohim Chaim, but this is the Missouri we live by. Really? Yeah, whatever. How many days of this bitch have we been doing? Surprisingly, 73. Really? Oh, for sure, dog. Look at this athleticism, though. Did you see that move? All right, here we go, babies. Serious, I got 99 Zeresim, but a bitch ain't one. Chilazone, Murex Trunculus. Chilazone, the Murex Trunculus. There's a snail. It's like a sounds like a Pokemon. Golus, that's diaspora. Chokmah, Bina, Da'at, wisdom, understanding, knowledge. Chalaf's knife, Shchita, slaughter. Shochet, slaughterer. Badika, examination or inspection. Chalaf, the instrument of surgical sharpness used to perform Shchita. Halakha, the body of Jewish law. Halakhic, in accordance with Halakha, kosher, correct, fit, appropriate. Nevela, an animal that was not slaughtered by Shchita. Shchita, the Jewish religious humane method of slaughtering animals and poultry for food. Shochet, the person who performs Shchita, qualified with a thorough knowledge of Jewish law, animal anatomy, and pathology, and licensed by both religious and civic authorities. Torah, the source of Jewish teaching and law, also referred to as the Law of Moses. Treifa, literally torn, generally used to denote non-kosher food. Za'ar ba'ale chayim, the Jewish teaching that cruelty to animals diminishes man's own ethical and moral standing, and that is contrary to Jewish law to cause animals pain and distress. A shochet must be learned in the laws of kosher slaughter and adept at sharpening and polishing their knives, known as Stellen Achalef in Yiddish. She or he also trains under an experienced shochet to learn how to hold the animal firmly to slaughter it quickly and smoothly. Often but not always, the shochet is also trained as a bodek checker who examines the inner organs of the animal to ensure that it was healthy at the time of death. In the modern factory setup, these tasks are often divided. Gechaken often yam, lekt his dayan, safe and let's go piss in the ocean. Safe and dignified blessing. May Hashem bless you and guard you. May Hashem shine his face upon you and be gracious to you. May Hashem lift his face to you and grant you peace. It's a Berkat Kohanim. Aken ani medaber ivrit bekar ivrit mikra'it af she bofal anaknu amurim ledaber Yiddish o ulai aramid shegam otan ani yakol ledaber b'mida mezriyamet aval ani mo adif anglit laken bo unedaber anglit ze nishma tov lecha. Indeed, I speak Hebrew, mainly biblical Hebrew, although in practice we are supposed to speak Yiddish or perhaps Aramaic, which I can also speak to some extent, but I prefer English, therefore let's speak English. Does that sound good to you? Okay. Do you like doing Chava Nagila? It's okay. Really? I mean, sometimes I don't, but I haven't been doing it that long. I kind of want the end to hurry up a little bit sometimes, but I also like it, so whatevs, babies. All right, what are we doing? Look at this move. Hava Nagila Hava Nagila Hava Nagila Venismecha Hava Nagila Hava Nagila Hava Nagila Venismecha Hava Nera Nena Hava Nera Nena Hava Nera Nena Venismecha Havana, 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 Venus Mecha. Ooh, Aki. Urakim, Gavasamea, Urakim, Kalapsamea, Urakim, Kalapsamea, Urakim, Kalapsamea, Urakim, Kalapsamea. Hey! Hava, Nagila, Hava, Nagila, Hava, Nagila, Venus Mecha. Hava, Nagila, Hava, Nagila, Hava, Nagila, Venus Mecha. Havana, Ranina, Havana, Ranina, Havana, Ranina, Venus Mecha. Havana, Ranina, Havana, Ranina, Havana, Ranina, Venus Mecha. Akim, Urakim, Balatsamea, Urakim, Balatsamea, Urakim, Balatsamea, Urakim, Balatsamea, Urakim. Dude, what's a good fucking musical? What is this bullshit? Hey, 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 come here. Shut the fuck up. No one needs 16 minutes of that bullshit. One day at a time, babies. One thing at a time. Summary in one flow. There's death, soul separates, Gehinnom, purification, Gan Eden, initial spiritual reward, possible reincarnation, spiritual repair, resurrection, body plus soul reunited, Olam Haba, perfected, embodied eternal world. 5 levels of the soul. Nefesh, action, vitality, ruach, emotion, neshama, intellect, chaya, transcendent life force, yachida, absolute unity with God. Before the Torah reading, Baraka, Lifnei Hakaraya. Reader calls Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamavarach. Congregation responds, Baruch Adonai Hamavarach Le'olam Ba'ed. Person called to the Torah repeats, Baruch Adonai. Baruch Adonai Hamavarach Le'olam Ba'ed. Blessing before the reading. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'am Im. Venatan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah. After the Torah reading, Bracha La'achar Akraya. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher Natan Lonu Torat Emet. V'chaye Olam Nata Betokenu. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah. Yore, he may judge. Yadin, yadin, he may judge. No. Yore, he may teach. Yadin, yadin, he may judge. Yatir Bekarad. He may perform. He may permit firstborns. Oh, I'm in a good fucking mood. Why? Who the fuck knows, babies? Right. We got the fucking Torah. Bereshit. Shemot, Vayikra, Bamidbar, Devarim. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. Nevi'im, prophets, Yehoshua, Shoftim, Shmuel, Malkim, Joshua, Judges, Samuel, Kings, letter prophets, Yeshayahu, Yirmiyahu, Yechezkel, Tre'e, Asar, Hosea, Yoel, Amos, Obadiah, Yonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi, Ketuvim, writings, Tehillim, Mishlei, Eov, Psalms, Proverbs, Job, the five Megillot, five scrolls, Shir Hashirim, Ruth, Micah, Kohelet, Esther, Daniel, Ezra, Nehemiah, Debrei HaYamim, Ruth, Lamentations, Song of Songs, Ruth, Lamentations, Ecclesiastes, Esther, Daniel, Ezra, Nehemiah, Chronicles. Achad Khan is a matchmaker who suggests prospective marriage mates and coaches them through the dating process. The term is linked to the word shidduch, which means match. The technical meaning of the word of Aramaic provenance is actually to settle down, since the newly matched couple settles their differences before beginning their new life together. Shadchan can be either male or female, although a female matchmaker is more properly called a shadchanta in Yiddish and a shadchan in Hebrew. The plural form is shadchanim. In Yiddish, to suggest a shidduch is to speak a shidduch. Shadchanis refers to both the act of matchmaking, so you can say that a shadchan is in the business of shadchanas, as well as the money traditionally given to the shadchan for his or her services, which would more accurately be referred to as shadchanis guild, shadchanis money. Rabbi is a teacher. A musmak is a sovereign judicial authority. And classical smicha allowed them to judge capital cases, authority to impose kanasot, authority to establish the calendar, membership in a Sanhedrin, jurisdiction rooted in Eretz Israel. Modern rabbis cannot execute, impose biblical fines, declare new months by testimony, recreate national sovereignty law. Torah is multi-layered. Peshat, simple meaning, remez, hint, darash, homiletic, Sod, secret. Mishabarak means he who blesses. May he who blesses. Kvort, which refers to the basin or bowl used in Nedilat Yadayim ritual, often paired with a cup. Kli Rishon, the original pot or container placed directly on a heat source, food or liquid in this vessel, is considered hot enough to continue cooking. Added ingredients, for instance, spices or salt, on Shabbat, which is prohibited. Kli Shani, a vessel in which hot food or liquid has been poured from a kli rishon, it is significantly cooler and the risk of cooking is reduced. Kli shlishi, a vessel into which hot food or liquid has been transferred from a kli shani, it is even cooler and cooking is generally not a concern. Okay, and then we've got head coverings and all that other bullshit. Really? Oh, for sure. Sefer HaRimon, Book of Pomegranates. Pomegranates are big time, kids. Really? Really? Independent chicks, right? A lot of them said daddy's going to be butter, right? His name is better, right? So, get from the independent young birds, right? Or ultimately, but what you can get benefits from is the eggs or from the reliant young, because those are considered to be dependent on the tree itself. But let's stop over for today, but again, let me just say the halakha l'maisa. So, actually, we'll say, yeah, we'll do tomorrow, sweetheart. Tomorrow we'll pick up and we'll finish off with the halakha l'maisa of Reish Lakish. Like, what are we doing in that last moment? What are we past in life? And then in Eretz Hashem, we'll continue Eretz Hashem, adventures in Avodah Zarah, Shvet. Like everyone. All right, everyone, have a great day.
Here is a structured outline of Sefer Harimon, Book of the Pomegranate by Moshe de Leon, written in the late 13th century. Outline of Sefer Harimon and Sefer Harimon. Part 1. Historical context. Written in late 13th century Spain during the flowering of early Spanish Kabbalah. Produced by Moshe de Leon, the same mystic associated with the authorship and publication of the Zohar. Part of the broader development of symbolic mystical interpretation of Torah. Purpose of the work: explain mystical meanings behind commandments and Torah narratives, present a systematic symbolic framework for divine reality. Number 2, meaning of the title pomegranate symbolizes hidden multiplicity within unity. Reasons for the symbol. A pomegranate contains many seeds inside one fruit. Symbolizes many mystical meanings within the Torah. In Jewish symbolism, the fruit is associated with abundance and commandments. This idea echoes the rabbinic statement that Israel is full of mitzvot like a pomegranate. Number 3, structure of the work. The book is organized around mystical interpretation of Torah concepts, especially 1, divine emanation, 2, symbolism of commandments, 3, spiritual worlds, 4, relationship between human action and divine flow. The work combines philosophical explanation and symbolic mysticism. Number 4, theology of divine emanation. Like many early Kabbalistic texts, the book describes divine reality through the Sephirotic structure. The 10 Sephirot represent divine attributes or channels of emanation. Themes include divine unity behind multiplicity, flow of spiritual energy from God to creation, interaction between the upper and lower worlds. Human actions affect this divine flow. Number 5, symbolism of the commandments, mitzvot. A major theme of the book is that mitzvot affect the spiritual worlds. Each commandment corresponds to a specific sephira or divine channel, helps restore harmony in the divine structure. Examples discussed conceptually: prayer, ritual commandments, ethical behavior. Mitzvot therefore become cosmic actions, not only legal obligations. Number 6, mystical interpretation of Torah. The book reads the Torah as a multi-layered mystical text. Levels of meaning include literal meaning, moral meaning, mystical meaning. Biblical stories represent processes within the divine realm. Number 7, the relationship between heaven and earth. The work emphasizes that human behavior influences spiritual reality. Key idea: the world below mirrors the world above. Human acts can repair divine harmony, strengthen divine attributes, restore balance in creation. This concept later develops into the Kabbalistic idea of tikkun, repair. 8, cosmology and spiritual worlds. The book hints at a layered universe, including divine realm, angelic realm, human world. These worlds interact continuously through spiritual energy and symbolism. Number 9, ethical and spiritual goals. The mystical teachings are not purely theoretical. The book encourages greater spiritual awareness, ethical behavior, intentional observance of commandments, alignment with divine will. Mystical knowledge should lead to spiritual transformation. Number 10, influence. Although not as famous as the Zohar, the work contributed to development of Spanish Kabbalah, symbolic interpretation of mitzvot, later Kabbalistic systems. It reflects the intellectual environment that produced the Zoharic literature. Summary: Sefer Harimon teaches that the Torah contains hidden mystical layers. The commandments influence the divine realm. Reality flows through the Sephirotic structure. Human actions can affect cosmic harmony. If you want, I can also outline the next text in the historical chain of Kabbalah after Sefer Harimon, which leads into some very unusual mystical works from the 14th, 15th centuries.
I'm a new. All right, now what? Kai, something so pleasurable can raise the dead. So the Rebbe says, after we stood. Halavai means if only I wish, that the Rebbe said before we stood. Yiddish Jewish head. Yenta Tzitaka, which is kind of a fetish of mine. Taklis means brass tacks, but it can also mean like end. Nosh means snack, snacking on pussy. Basher, that's a soulmate. Bashirta is a female soulmate. Bashirta is a male soulmate. Mishmash is a mixture. Mishmash, I was taking a bath. Bupkis means beans, it means nothing. Good Yontif means good day. Means like good holiday, happy holiday. L'chaim means life. Parv means neutral. Black kosher means smooth, fit. Mensch means good dude. Mencha should be a thing that's female, good person. Aishait Chayil is a woman of valor. Zedakis, Troy, good woman, maybe Gittel as well. Skoyach, it's a shortened form of Yasher Koach, which is a shortened form of Yayasher Kokaka, which means may your strength be directed forward. Stettel is a town. Streimel is a hat. Shadel is a wig. Milchig is dairy. Fleischig is meat. Harv means neutral. Heimish, that means homie. Shmata means rag. Schwiger means mother-in-law. Chazir means pig. Chazer means to repeat. Schlep means to carry a burden. Meshuga means, wow, great, there goes. Ganef means a thief. Yarmulka may be Aramaic for Yare Malka, and all of the king. Trafe means torn. Yortzeit means death anniversary. Klutz means wooden block. It can also mean clumsy. Nadelok, like noodle. That's matzo balls. Schwitz means sweat. Schnorr means beggar. Schmutz means grime. Schmooze means to gab. Mamzer means bastard. Benching means blessing. Shabkhan means matchmaker. Shidduch means match. Kvetch means bitch and mom baby. Shiva means 7. Maven means expert. Shanda means shame. Shachki means trinkets. Plots means bursting. Macher means big dog. Fell means like burst with joy. Also nachas as well. Balagan means a circus. Steibel, like a mini small place of worship. Geschmack. If your nephew Geschmack, pronounced Geschmack, is a Yiddish word that means delicious, pleasurable, fun. Geschmack functions as both a noun and an adjective. So, if, for example, your nephew has a Geschmack in cooking, you can confidently tell him that the food he made was simply Geschmack. In American English sprinkled liberally with Yiddish, a person whose company is enjoyable may be referred to as a person whose company is enjoyable may also be referred to as Geschmack. Learning with a Geschmack. Our sages teach that a person should always learn Torah in a place that his heart desires. That means that not only should the subject be dear to your heart, but you should also pick a venue where you will be able to enjoy your studies. Follow their adage, and you're guaranteed to be learning with a Geschmack. A Geschmack and doing favors. Rabbi Sholem Doper of Lubavitch taught, it is a magnificent gift of God to merit an innate sense, a feel, and a Geschmack for doing kindness to another. This can develop to the point that one cherishes the other more than oneself. He may find many explanations as to why he deserves his own tribulations, God forbid, but to do so with regard to another's suffering is inconceivable. The path less geschmack. A father once took his young son to dip in the river as per the custom of the pious to immerse in the cleansing waters of a mikvah before praying each morning. It was a bitterly cold day, and the river was almost frozen over. The duo quickly undressed and slipped into the water. Oi, Tata, cried the son, it's freezing. As soon as the pair emerged, they wrapped themselves in warm towels, headed for home, and warmed themselves near the crackling fire. Ah, signed the son with pleasure. This is Geschmack. Signed the sun? Wouldn't it be side the sun? Ah, side the sun. Is that a fucking signed the sun? No, side the sun. Ah, side the sun. Is that an error? Who knows? My dear son, said the father, let this dip in the cold river be a lesson to you. In life, you will face many choices, and it will not always be clear to you what is right and what is wrong. One path may appear more geschmack than the other. How will you know which is correct? You must always look a few steps ahead, he continued with wisdom gleaned with age. If the oi is followed by the if the oi is followed by an first difficult, then geschmack, then you first difficult, but then geschmack, know that you are on the correct path. But if it is first an then an oi, starting out geschmack and then going downhill. From there, know that you must change direction. It's geschmack to be a Jew. There is an oft-told anecdote of a rabbi who observed how much. There's an oft-told anecdote of a rabbi who observed how some Jewish families managed to maintain their fealty to Judaism in the 20th century America. There is an oft-told anecdote of a rabbi who observed how some Jewish families managed to maintain their fealty to Judaism in early 20th century America, while others fell to the wayside. Many Torah scholars who were devoted to Judaism with every fiber of their being, never compromised even an iota, found that their children didn't follow in their footsteps. Then there were others who did not appear to be any more learned or devout, yet their children took the torch of Judaism and made it their own. What was the difference? It's the end of a long work week, and two men are laid off for refusing to work on Shabbat, but come home with empty pockets and no idea where their next penny will come from. One of them sighs deeply and says, Oi, she's zver zu zien a yid. Oh, it's tough to be a Jew. The other greets his family with a smile and tells them with joy, "Oh, ziz gesmak zu zain a yid. Oh, it's a pleasure to be a Jew." It's not difficult to imagine which children chose to follow their father's example. Cool story, bro. Really? Oh, for sure. That was one of the most boring shit I've ever heard. Really? What was the word? Mesmok? Mesmok? Is that the word? Geschmack. Geschmack. Really? Yeah. Who the fuck knows? It's all bullshit anyway. Why? Oh, everybody knows it's bullshit. Really? Oh, it's just another blah 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 blah. Really? Oh, it's just the worst. Really? Yeah. Did we do Torsley yet?
Hi, and welcome back to the Deen. In today's show, we will talk about the mitzvah, the commandment to write a Torah. The final mitzvah, the 613th mitzvah in the Torah, is the commandment for every Jew to write for themselves a Torah. Now, this would be pretty difficult given that the writing of a Torah would be upwards of $30,000-$40,000, and it's not within the possibility of every Jew to do so. So we have an option to participate in the writing of a Torah. There are many Torahs which are written in partnership. Many Jews get together, each one buys a letter or a word or a verse or a paragraph, a page, and through this we are told by our sages that this fulfills the mitzvah, the commandment of writing a Torah. The Torah, of course, is the central book of the Jewish religion. It is the 5 books of Moses written on a parchment scroll. There are about 350,000 letters in each Torah. It would take a scribe who did nothing else all day but wrote for 8 hours a day, approximately 6 months to write a Torah. Of course, since they do other things as well, typically it takes about a year for a scribe to write a Torah. It is incredible that even though the Torah is handwritten, every single Torah anywhere in the world, even in communities which were completely disconnected from the larger Jewish community, like far in Yemen, every Torah that we have today are exactly the same. Every letter is exactly the same. A Torah which is missing even one letter of those 350,000 was completely disqualified, cannot be used for reading in the synagogue. It must be fixed before it can be used. Not only if it's missing a letter, but even if 2 letters were to be touching or a letter is smudged, if there is any imperfection in the Torah at all, it is disqualified from use until it is fixed. Our sages tell us that there are 600,000 symbolic letters in the Torah. What they mean by that is every Jew has a share, has, so to speak, a letter in the Torah. And that's why it's important for every Jew to actually participate in the writing of the Torah, to take charge, so to speak, to take a part, their part in the Torah. The Torah is written on parchment made from the skin of a kosher species animal. It is tanned and made into parchment, and then it is handwritten with special ink with a quill feather by a scribe who, of course, practices for many years before they can actually attempt to write the Torah. When a community or an individual takes on the writing of a new Torah, a great celebration is made at the end, at the siyum, at the conclusion of the writing of the Torah. The scribe will write in the last few letters in the presence of the entire community. A day of celebration is called men, women, and children get together for the celebration. The Torah, after it's concluded, is marched through the streets to music under a chuppah canopy like a bride and a groom. It's brought to the synagogue. All the Torahs of that synagogue are brought out to greet the new Torah into the synagogue. The Torah is the backbone of the Jewish people. It is the most sacred artifact that we have, and that is why it is kept covered up and only taken out for special occasions as something precious is. Get your share in a Torah. Take a part of writing a Torah in your synagogue or in your community.
I'm gonna write that shit. I might even write it in Rashi script. Can you? I think so. I think you could. Why? Where in the Bible does it say that you can't write in Rashi script? Torah, Sefer Torah. But it's a good question. We've got a couple good questions that have come up in my head. Yo, dog, could you write a Torah scroll in Rashi script? Yo, could you write a Torah scroll in Roche script? Yo, no. No, Torah. Could you? I think it's permissible. It's not, but I think you could. No, but I don't think there's anything against it. Is it Isser? Is it not allowed though? Like, let's say you wanted to. I know traditionally it's not written in Rashi script, but could you if you really wanted to? You could physically write it, but it would not be valid Torah scroll for ritual use. A kosher Sefer Torah must be written in Kitab Ashuri, Assyrian square script. The requirement is discussed in classical halakhic sources such as the Talmud and codified in the Shulchan Aruch. The scroll must also be written by a Sofer Stam, ritual scribe, with specific rules about letter spacing, parchment, and ink. What Rashi script actually is. Rashi script is not the script used by Rashi himself. It was a later printing typeface that became standard for medieval commentaries. Imagine writing the whole fucking thing. Oh, I did it in Rashi script. No, yeah, that bitch isn't kosher to use. Fuck. If someone wrote the Torah in Rashi script, three possibilities. For learning or art aloud, it is simply Hebrew manuscript. For a printed book, find many books mixed fonts. For a Torah scroll used in synagogue reading, invalid, pasul. You could not use it in a Torah reading, aliyot, or synagogue services. Why the rule exists. The idea is preservation and uniformity. Jewish law fixed the sacred script for every Torah scroll used in public reading. Okay, well, you can do it for art, baby. Used in public reading is written the same way across communities. Fun historical note: older Jewish scripts existed before the square script. For example, the Torah was once written in Paleo Hebrew script. That's an interesting one, which you can still see on some ancient coins and manuscripts. If you want, you can show you something super interesting. Yeah, I want to know that. Yes. And are you allowed to write it in Paleo Hebrew script? So that you can write it in the Paleo, but it would not be kosher scroll for synagogue to use. I mean, shit can change, but I get it. I'm cool with that. Assyrian bullshit. I want to write it in Comic Sans, baby. Or papyrus.
Short answer, you can write the Torah in Paleo Hebrew, but it would not be a kosher scroll for synagogue. Short answer, you can write the Torah in Paleo Hebrew, but it would not be a kosher scroll for synagogue use. Short answer, you can write the Torah in Paleo Hebrew,
Yeah, I
but
get
it would
that.
not be a kosher scroll for synagogue use. 1. The script required for a Torah scroll. A valid Sefer Torah, Torah scroll, must be written in Ktav Ashuri, Assyrian square script, according to classical halakha, as codified in sources such as Talmud and later the Shulchan Aruch. If the scroll is written in another script, it is considered pasul, invalid for ritual reading. 2. What Paleo Hebrew is, Paleo Hebrew script is the ancient Hebrew alphabet used in the First Temple period. It appears on ancient inscriptions and coins and resembles Phoenician letters. Historically, many scholars believe early biblical texts were originally written in this script before the Jewish people adopted Ktav Ashuri during or after the Babylonian exile. 3. What happens if you write a Torah in Paleo Hebrew today? 3 cases. 1. Study manuscript allowed. It is simply a copy of the Torah for learning. 2. Historical or artistic reproduction. Also allowed. Museums and scholars sometimes do this. 3. Synagogue Torah scroll for public reading. Not allowed. It would be invalid because it is not written in Ktav Ashuri. 4. Interesting exception. The Samaritans still use a descendant of Paleo Hebrew called the Samaritan script for their version of the Torah, the Samaritan Pentateuch. However, Rabbinic Judaism does not consider those scrolls valid for Jewish ritual use. 5. Summary: can you write Torah text, valid synagogue scroll? Tavashodo Hebrew, yes. Rashi script, yes, no. So, permitted to write, but not permitted to use as a kosher Torah scroll. If you want, I can also show you something very cool most people never notice. A few letters.
Is it a mitzvah for a woman to write a scroll?
The modern Hebrew alphabet actually evolved directly from Paleo Hebrew shapes, and you can still see the transformation step by step. It is a fascinating piece of Jewish scribal history.
So that guy was saying that all Jews should do it, but not women. Yo, dog, on the Chabad website, there's a rabbi who says that it is a mitzvot for all Jews to write a Torah scroll throughout their life. But is he only referencing male Jews? Jewish women, a Jewish man. Dude, let's learn everything we can about fucking scrolls.
Yeah, I understand what you're asking. You're referring to the mitzvah that every Jew should write a Torah scroll. The source of the mitzvah. The commandment comes from Book of Deuteronomy, Devarim Deuteronomy 31:19, where God tells Israel to write this song. Rabbinic tradition interprets that verse as the basis for the mitzvah to write a Sefer Torah. This interpretation appears in the Talmud, and it is codified by Maimonides in the who is obligated. According to traditional halakha, the formal obligation is on Jewish men. Women are generally not obligated in this mitzvah. This follows the general rule that certain time-related or communal commandments apply differently. What that means. So there are three levels. One, obligation, mitzvah chiyuv, traditionally applies to men. Two, voluntary participation. A woman may participate in sponsoring or helping write a scroll. Three, writing the scroll itself. In Orthodox halakha, the actual writing must be done by a qualified sofer stam, ritual scribe, and traditionally that role is male. Another important detail. Most Jews today fulfill the mitzvah indirectly. Instead of personally writing a scroll, they commission a scribe, purchase letters in a communal Torah, help fund a Torah scroll. Halakhic authorities say that counts as fulfilling the commandment. One more interesting thing, Maimonides even says that correcting one letter in a Torah scroll is considered as if you helped write it. Summary question, traditional answer, is writing a Torah scroll a mitzvah? Yes. Who is obligated? Jewish men. Can women participate? Yes, but not traditionally obligated. Can someone fulfill it by commissioning one? Yes. If you want, I can also explain something super fascinating about this mitzvah. Why the Torah verse actually says, write this song, and how the rabbis derived writing the entire Torah scroll from that phrase. It is a really clever piece of Talmudic reasoning.
Yeah, you can do that. And then tell me everything that anyone would ever need to know about being a sofer. Like from the age to like, can you write a sofer when you're drunk? Or write a Sefer Torah when you're drunk? Or like, even if you're like, what if you write even better when you're drunk? Or stoned? Or on cocaine? You're like, oh, this motherfucker wrote a fucking Sefer Torah while high on cocaine on a yacht on a giraffe hide. This motherfucker crazy. Wanted to do it in Rashi script, but everybody was like, "Oh, don't do that because then it's just art." And they wanted to get an aliyah from it. Oh, that's so sick. So sick. Boats and hoes, baby.
All right, let me break this into two parts. One, why the Torah command says write this song. Two, everything someone needs to know about becoming a ritual scribe, a sofer satam, ritual scribe. Number one, why the Torah says write this song. The commandment comes from the book of Deuteronomy, Deuteronomy 19. God tells Moses, open quote, now write for yourselves this song, close quote. The rabbis in the Talmud explain that this song refers specifically to Hazimu, the poetic section near the end of the Torah. However, Jewish law says you cannot write only a small section of the Torah as a scroll. A Torah scroll must contain the entire text. Therefore, the logic becomes the Torah commands writing this song. That song must be in a Torah scroll. Therefore, you must write the entire Torah scroll. This interpretation is codified by Maimonides in the Mishneh Torah. Number two, everything about becoming a sofer. A sofer, stam, writes sacred scrolls. Stam is an acronym for Sefer Torah, Torah scroll, phylacteries, mezuzah, doorpost parchment. Basic requirements. Religion. Traditionally, the scribe must be Jewish, observant of mitzvot. Age. Must be a legal adult in Jewish law, 13 years old and above, bar mitzvah age. However, realistically, most scribes train for many years before writing sacred texts. Training. A scribe usually studies under a master scribe. Training includes Hebrew calligraphy, laws of writing scrolls, parchment preparation, ink preparation, thousands of halakhic details. Technical rules for writing a Torah scroll. A Torah scroll contains about 304,805 letters. Each letter must be perfectly formed, surrounded by blank parchment, written in Katev Ashuri, Assyrian script. If one letter touches another, the scroll can become invalid. Materials. Parchment, called cloth, made from animal hide. Ink. Traditional ink is black and durable. Quill, usually from a feather, sometimes other styluses. Ritual intention. Before writing sacred names of God, the scribe must say, L'Shem Kedushat Hashem, for the holiness of the divine name. If the intention is missing, the name may be invalid. Now to your question about intoxication. Writing while drunk. A scribe should not write sacred texts while drunk. Reasons. Writing requires concentration. Mistakes invalidate scrolls. Writing sacred texts requires proper intention. If someone wrote while significantly intoxicated, many authorities would consider the writing invalid. Writing while high or on drugs. Same principle. Writing sacred text requires clarity, intention, respect for holiness. Substances like cocaine or marijuana that impair judgment would generally make the writing halakhically questionable or invalid. Even if someone thinks they write better, the law focuses on intent and mental state.
Get this motherfucking tank.
Other surprising rules scribes must follow. Cannot write from memory. A Torah scroll must be copied letter by letter from a correct text. Cannot skip letters. If the scribe forgets a word and continues writing, fixing it later can invalidate the scroll. Special letters. Certain letters are written larger, smaller, with crowns called tagim, the divine name. If the scribe writes the name of God incorrectly, it cannot be erased. Sometimes an entire sheet of parchment must be replaced. Time to write a Torah scroll. Typical time, 1 to 1.5 years full time. Cost of a Torah scroll. A kosher scroll often costs $30,000 to $100,000 because of the labor and skill involved. One more cool halakhic detail. If a Jew writes even one letter in a Torah scroll during a dedication ceremony, many authorities say they participate in the mitzvah of writing a Torah. Summary. A ritual scribe must be Jewish, be halakhically adult, be trained, write with proper intention, be sober and mentally clear, follow thousands of detailed rules. If you want, I can also show you something wild about Torah scribal law. There are letters in the Torah that are intentionally written upside down, broken, or unusually large.
No, dog. You also said they had to be a man. So it's telling me you're leaving stuff out. I need a list of everything. Just absolutely everything. Like, what if the person had Down syndrome? Could a Down syndrome person write a Torah? I need to know everything. Like, don't miss anything.
Every single one has mystical explanations in the code. Sefer HaZohar. It is one of the coolest intersections between scribal law and Jewish mysticism.
This fucking scroll was written by a Down syndrome person. Really? Would that make it more valuable? I think it would.
So during the summer, the process that the shade tree provides shade, and shade is beneficial, obviously, to the vegetables, to the fruits. But it's very different in the summertime, however.
All right, I will give you the full halakhic framework as it appears in classical rabbinic law. No one source lists literally every imaginable case, but the rules come mainly from the Talmud, the Shulchan Aruch, and codifications like the Mishnah Torah by Maimonides. From those rules, rabbis derive how different cases apply. We're talking about the person writing a Sefer Torah scroll, as a Sofer Stam, Sofer Satan, ritual scribe. Number one, basic qualifications for the scribe. To classical halakha, the person writing ritual scrolls must be Jewish, halakhically adult, bar mitzvah age 13 plus, mentally competent, observant of the commandments, writing intentionally for the holiness of the scroll. People traditionally considered invalid to write a Torah scroll. Rabbinic sources list several categories whose writing does not produce a kosher scroll for synagogue use. These lists appear in the Talmudic tractate Gittim and later codes. Examples commonly listed: non-Jews, minors, children, women, traditional ruling, apostates who reject Judaism, someone who denies the sanctity of the Torah. If such a person writes the scroll is generally considered pasul, invalid for ritual use. Number 3. Mental competence. Jewish law requires da'at, legal mental awareness for ritual writing. Therefore, the scribe must understand what they are writing, the holiness of the text, the intention required. If someone lacks sufficient cognitive awareness, many authorities say the writing cannot be valid. This is why traditional law excludes someone considered legally incompetent. Your example: Down syndrome. Jewish law does not have a single universal rule here because Down syndrome varies widely in cognitive ability. Halakhic reasoning would be: if the person understands the holiness of the Torah, can form proper intention, can follow the rules. Some authorities might allow the writing. If the person cannot demonstrate legal awareness, then the writing would likely not be valid. The determination would depend on the individual's mental competence, not the diagnosis alone. Physical ability. A scribe must be able to write correctly, so issues that could affect validity include inability to form letters, tremors that cause letters to touch, inability to follow spacing rules. However, physical disability alone does not invalidate a scribe if they can still write properly. For example, a person missing a limb could still be a scribe. A blind person cannot write the scroll because they cannot see the letters. Someone who cannot read Hebrew cannot write the scroll. Number 6, intoxication or drugs. Halakhic principle: ritual writing requires intent and awareness. Therefore, writing while drunk, high, mentally impaired would generally invalidate the writing, even if the letters look correct. The required intention may be missing. Number 7, religious observance. Some authorities rule that a scribe who publicly violates major commandments may not write ritual scrolls. Examples sometimes discussed: open rejection of Torah, idol worship, apostasy. The reasoning is that the scroll must be written by someone who accepts its sanctity. Number 8, technical scribal requirements. Even if the scribe is valid, the scroll can still become invalid if a letter touches another, letters are misshaped, spacing between sections is wrong, parchment or ink is improper. A Torah scroll contains about 304,805 letters. If even one letter is invalid, the scroll may not be used until corrected. And number 9, required script. The scroll must be written in Ktav Ashuri, Assyrian square script, other scripts like Paleo-Hebrew script, synagogue scrolls. Number 10, intention for the divine name. Before writing the name of God, the scribe must consciously intend for the holiness of the divine name. If written without that intention, the name may invalidate the section. Number 11, copying requirement. A Torah scroll cannot be written from memory. The scribe must copy from a correct text. 12, writing one letter counts. Many authorities say if a Jew writes even one letter in a Torah scroll, they participate in the mitzvah of writing one. Important point, Jewish law often speaks in legal categories, not medical diagnoses. So when evaluating unusual cases such as disabilities, rabbis analyze awareness, intention, ability to perform the action properly rather than simply labeling the person. Simplified rule: for a Torah scroll to be kosher, the scribe must have Jewish identity, legal adulthood, mental competence, proper intention, ability to write the letters correctly. If you want, I can also show you something fascinating that most people never learn. There are exactly 20 different types of mistakes that invalidate a Torah scroll. And scribes have a whole system for detecting them during inspection. It is basically an ancient form of quality control for sacred texts.
That once I told the sorrow breaks, right? Even on its own, you know, that's not actively broken, it's decommissioned. So the Gemara says, we don't just shove from the melodies. The Kinsima has conceptually years that the bird is building its nest from twigs, broken pieces of the Asherah tree. The Kapani loves his Bakana, and yet the nest is with her. So here's what she's on. This supports my assertion that broken Avodah, even if not intentionally broken, ultimately decommissions the Avodah. No, let's hear what's the case. If you go to the IC8s in the Alma, the kin survive, not necessarily. That's not how birds make nests. Birds make nests. Birds make nests in trees all the time, but they often bring materials from other locations. So it keeps us here as the bird built itself comfortable in the Asherah tree, but it did not gather the materials or the nest from the Asherah tree. Rather, gathering the materials ultimately again from elsewhere. So again, what's the right for that? The right for that is look at the hectish case. What happened in the hectish case? The hectish case, what is he going to say about the birds now, about the bird's nest? No landing or about the tree. No landing about the nest. No landing below all of it. So again, you should not get benefit from the nest. But if you did not commit Yuba towards all us analyzes. So the IC8s in the Alma, so we're talking about a case where the bird built a nest ultimately again from the tip reels in the belt, right outside of the hectish tree, then how you kind of got the hectish one land below all of them. So then it makes sense. One end in the bottom. So again, Chazal said, we don't want you to get benefits from that nest, right? Why not? Because it's attached to a hectish tree, and you can see how accidentally you may come to scale the tree. But it's in the and also the Lamor and the Doraisa. But there's no Megillah. Why is there no Megillah? Because since the materials for the nest came not from the hectish tree, but from the outside, the nest itself is not subject to Megillah. And the Amish Shabbat eats in the middle of the Kinsa Bahen, and my Lamor and Hakabishi. And again, I want to say, Halakha Lamaisa. The bird is building the nest from the tree itself. That means, again, if this nest is made from twigs from a hectish tree, then what's the status of the nest? The status of the nest is hectish. If it's hectish, ultimately, again, then you're not allowed to benefit from it, the Doraisa, and it's Me'ilah the Doraisa. Which the Gemara says, so therefore the Gemara is suggesting, it seems to be clear that Halakha Lamaisa, we're dealing with both cases in the Asherah tree and in the hectish tree, where the bird is making a nest from other materials, not from the Asherah tree and not from the hektish tree. To which the Gemara says, not necessarily. The Gemara says, need the area, talk of the Kidulin Habon Achar Kanas so we'll say maybe not. It's actually quite possible that in both of these cases, ultimately, or I should say in the hektish case, that the bird is making its nest from the actual.
All right, dog. Here is the scribal quality control system used for a Sefer Torah, Torah scroll. A trained checker called a Megaya examines the scroll after the Sukkah ritual scribe writes it. A Torah scroll has about 304,805 letters, and any mistake can invalidate it until corrected. Below are the major categories of errors that scribes and checkers look for. Number 1, missing letters. If even one letter is missing, the scroll is invalid. Example, if a word like Bereshit, loses a letter, the text changes and the scroll becomes pasul, invalid. Number 2, extra letters. Adding a letter that should not exist also invalidates the scroll. Since the Torah text must match the traditional transmission exactly, no additions are allowed. Number 3, letters touching each other. Each letter must be surrounded by blank parchment. If 2 letters touch, the shapes merge and the scroll becomes invalid. Number 4, broken letters. Some letters require continuous strokes. If the ink breaks in the wrong place, the letter might look different than letter. Example, a broken vav might resemble yi. 5, misshaped letters. Every letter must follow the traditional shape used in Tav Ashuri, Assyrian script. If a letter looks like another letter, it is invalid. Example, Dalet versus Resh, Bet versus Kif. These are common scribal mistakes. Number 6, improper spacing between words. Words must be separated by small spaces. If 2 words run together, it can change the meaning. Example, Melech HaOlam, King of the Universe. If written incorrectly, it could appear as one word. Number 7, incorrect paragraph formatting. Certain sections require specific spacing patterns called petucha, open paragraph, setuma, closed paragraph. If the spacing is wrong, the scroll may be invalid. Number 8, incorrect special letters. Some letters in the Torah are intentionally unusual, larger, smaller, suspended. If they are not written correctly, scribes must fix them. 9, tagin, crowns. Certain letters receive decorative crowns called tagin. These appear on letters such as She'ati and Zintzen. If they are missing in some traditions, the scroll may still be valid but not ideal. Number 10, errors in the divine name. The name of God must be written with special intention. If written incorrectly, it cannot be erased. Often, the entire parchment sheet must be replaced. Number 11, writing from memory. A scribe must copy from a correct reference text. Writing from memory is prohibited because it risks mistakes. Now 12, ink problems. The ink must be black, durable, properly prepared. Faded or colored ink can invalidate the scroll. Number 13, parchment problems. The parchment, cloth, must come from kosher animal hide, prepared correctly. Improper parchment invalidates the scroll. Number 14, line alignment. Each column must contain a specific number of lines. Traditional Torah scrolls usually have 42 lines per column. Number 15, word placement rules. Certain words must appear at the beginning or end of lines according to scribal tradition. Scribes memorize many of these placements. Number 16, the Song of the Sea formatting. The poem in Book of Exodus, Shemot, has a special layout resembling bricks. If written normally instead of the brick pattern, the scroll is invalid. Number 17, the Hazinu formatting. The poem in Book of Deuteronomy, Devorim, has its own unique 2-column format. Number 18, letter cracks over time. Even a perfect scroll can become invalid. If ink cracks, parchment tears, regular inspections are required. Number 19, computer verification. Today, many scrolls are also scanned with software that compares every letter to a digital Torah text, but human checkers are still required. 20, final inspection. A scroll may be checked 3 times or more before being used in synagogue. Bottom line, even if a scroll looks perfect, it must pass scribal inspection, proofreading, sometimes computer scanning. Only then can it be used publicly. There is actually one super weird scribal tradition that most people never notice. In the Torah, the letter Vav in the word Shalom in Book of Numbers is intentionally written broken in half. The rabbis and the Sefer HaZohar give mystical explanations for why that letter is split. If you want, I can show you about 10 of the strangest scribal anomalies in the Torah. They are wild.
Considered to be an appendage of the tree itself. So you can get benefit ultimately again from the chicks, but ultimately not the eggs. You know, it says the baits and so Rashi that broken should switch on the Iman, the baits and double. It's very interesting. Chicks that are so young that they are reliant on their mother have the status of eggs, right? So which makes sense because the chicks that require their mother are dependent on the nest. The nest is reliant on the tree, and therefore Allah likes what we found out. So therefore, it turns out that over here with the space of the nest on top of the Asher tree, the egg tree, you obviously can't scale the tree regardless, right? What can you do? You can knock down the nest. But why are you knocking down the nest? So really you can't get benefit from the nest because there's a concern that the nest itself was made from the Asher tree or from the Hektish tree. What can you get benefit from? Independent chicks. Independent chicks, right?
Independent chicks, baby.
That is going to be mutter, right?
All the women are independent, throw your hands up in the air.
Birds, right? Or ultimately, what you can get benefit from is the eggs or from the reliant young, because those are considered to be dependent on the tree itself. We'll stop over for today, but again, let me just say the halakha l'maisa. So actually, it looks like. Yeah, we'll do tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll pick up. We'll finish off with the halakha l'maisa. Like, what are we doing that much? So what are we asking like? And then in the Hashem we'll continue with Hashem. Adventures in Avodah Zarah. Shkayach, everyone. Bye. Have a great day. All right, I was to say good morning. Let us begin by thanking all of our sponsors for this morning here today. Our annual Common sponsor, Wilson Mishpach America itself. We're dedicating all the Shimon Trust this year as it's close with Soros Levels from Israel. Our Bartolo sponsors for the month of Av, Mavami has told us Stephen and Wendy Drazen in honor of their parents, Israel Drazen, Tina Drazen, Abby Roses White, in memory of Stanley Roses White, and Rahman. Our weekly learning sponsors, Abby and Joe Hirsch, with appreciation. Share the entire vlog for the Chayalim, the Chayalim, and all of those sacrificing the Cloud Israel. And Maisha and Devorah Wordeshine are the learning sponsors for today. Rachel the Yarsay, Aryeh Leiva, Ben, the Marathon of the Torah, all of the Neshamos of the families in the Torah, all of those new who are shouting the code of the police, the Shroud Kushin, Mercy Shibrin, Bumawa has to do the Shalom and the Torah, while our own soldiers is successful, the follow up. I'll see you there. Well, so with that, let us begin our Shalom a lot today. Today's staff is and days. We have to come up with next Hashem on the Hallowed Days 41 feet. And we left off the Eid something close to Friday, which is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, about 15 words up from the Bible. So remember again, yesterday's daf made a fascinating distinction between finely broken pieces of what we call slumming versus finely broken pieces of what we call Avodah Zarah. What's the difference between those two terms? Slumming are images. Images, maybe they were worshipped, maybe they weren't worshipped. Avodah Zarah was definitively worshipped. So Allah the Gemara says that if you find pieces of Avodah Zarah, essentially you still have to take it right off. That's not why not? Because again, there's a suffix. What's the suffix? Did an akum decommission them or not? That's our shayla now. An akum, and we're going to discuss this more today's time. An akum does have the ability to decommission Avodah Zarah, but it has now again. There we have my focus. Do you need active decommissioning or can it even be passive decommissioning? But again, we'll get back to that just a little bit. That's our overarching method. So here, when the Oakland says it has to be active decommissioning, Rabbi Rothschild says even passive decommissioning. That domain would be if the idol falls over by itself and breaks. But if the real one is still an idol, according to original teaching of both idolatrous. So I'm saying, but again, that's why one pieces of if you find pieces of something on this image, it's going to be worth it. Why is it disturbed? Because it's a sex state. What's the sex state? Subject number one is maybe it was never worshipped. That's number one. And number two, ultimately, again, even if it was worshipped, maybe it was conditioned. So the idea of going jumping back to the Zara for just a second. This is my only second I have with Zara. It does not work. Because a lot of them we say, in something coating is bad. Ultimately, again, the something that maybe something that maybe would be commissioned doesn't go ahead and take it out from the side that it was number one. That's the question. That principle. Maybe something wants to be done. Is that true? That a something, a possibility, cannot go ahead and change the reality with facing uncertainty? What about Father Martin? You're very interesting. I just saw this. Cover Shanice. And yet we were with their parents. So say a cover died. Cover died. And again, presenting, at that, special show to a member of our shir from South Africa by the name of Ismail Sidhu. I was just introduced to Belgram, another member of our shir in Toronto. Hashem,
What was that shit again?
All right, dog. Here is the scribal quality control system used for a Sefer Torah, Torah scroll. A trained checker called a Megaya examines the scroll after the Sufistam, ritual scribe, writes it. A Torah scroll has about 304,805 letters, and any mistake can invalidate it until corrected. Below are the major categories of errors that scribes and checkers look for. Number one, missing letters. If even one letter is missing, the scroll is invalid. Example, if a word like Bereshit, loses a letter, the text changes and the scroll becomes pasul, invalid. Number two, extra letters. Adding a letter that should not exist also invalidates the scroll. Since the Torah text must match the traditional transmission exactly, no additions are allowed. Number three, letters touching each other. Each letter must be surrounded by blank parchment. If two letters touch, the shapes merge and the scroll becomes invalid. Number four, broken letters. Some letters require continuous strokes. If the ink breaks in the wrong place, the letter might look different letter. Example, a broken vav might resemble yi. 5. Misshaped letters. Every letter must follow the traditional shape used in Tavashuri, Kassyrian script. If a letter looks like another letter, it is invalid. Example, Dalet versus Resh, Bet versus Keef. These are common scribal mistakes. Number 6. Improper spacing between words. Words must be separated by small spaces. If two words run together, it can change the meaning. Example, Melech HaOlam, King of the Universe. If written incorrectly, it could appear as one word. Number 7, incorrect paragraph formatting. Certain sections require specific spacing patterns called tucha, open paragraph, setuma, closed paragraph. If the spacing is wrong, the scroll may be invalid. Number 8, incorrect special letters. Some letters in the Torah are intentionally unusual, larger, smaller, suspended. If they are not written correctly, the scribes must fix them. 9. Tagin, crowns. Certain letters receive decorative crowns called tagin. These appear on letters such as she'ati and zingsen. If they are missing in some traditions, the scroll may still be valid but not ideal. Number 10. Errors in the divine name. The name of God must be written with special intention. If written incorrectly, it cannot be erased. Often, the entire parchment sheet must be replaced. Number 11. Writing from memory. A scribe must copy from a correct reference text. Writing from memory is prohibited as it risks mistakes. Now 12. Ink problems. The ink must be black, durable, properly prepared. Faded or colored ink can invalidate the scroll. Number 13. The parchment, cloth, must come from kosher animal hide, prepared correctly. Improper parchment invalidates the scroll. Number 14. Line alignment. Each column must contain a specific number of lines. Traditional Torah scrolls usually have 42 lines per column. Number 15, word placement rules. Certain words must appear at the beginning or end of lines according to scribal tradition. Scribes memorize many of these placements. Number 16, the Song of the Sea formatting. The poem in Book of Exodus, Shemot, has a special layout resembling bricks. If written normally instead of the brick pattern, the scroll is invalid. Number 17, the Hazinu formatting. The poem in Book of Deuteronomy, Devarim, has its own unique two-column format. Number 18, letter cracks over time. Even a perfect scroll can become invalid if ink cracks, parchment tears, regular inspections are required. Number 19, computer verification. Today, many scrolls are also scanned with software that compares every letter to a digital Torah text, but human checkers are still required. 20, final inspection. A scroll may be checked 3 times or more before being used in synagogue. Bottom line, even if a scroll looks perfect, it must pass scribal inspection, proofreading, sometimes computer scanning. Only then can it be used publicly. There is actually one super weird scribal tradition that most people never notice. In the Torah, the letter Vav in the word Shalom in Book of Numbers is intentionally written broken in half. The rabbis and the Sefer HaZohar give mystical explanations for why that letter is split. If you want, I can show you about 10 of the strangest scribal anomalies in the Torah. They are wild.
So that is an interesting case. There is, technically speaking, a nice loophole, a typing loophole. What's the typing loophole? Is that really what technicalities?
What are some of the strangest animals on which Torahs have been made? And what would be, even if they don't exist, some amazingly kosher Torahs, hypothetically?
Technically speaking, if you was to bring your produce in, let's say through the window and not through the door, technically it's nicer exempt. Technically it's nicer exempt. Now again, there are limitations on that also. So the Gemara says over here, there's really no something that's going to be about that. Why? Because it's actually possible, even if you want to go with the fact that maybe it's a suffix if the cover typed it or not, it's also a suffix if the produce was ever subject to Shuvas Moshes. Why? Because it's possible that literally it's going to use this legal loophole of bringing it in through the window, and therefore it was never subject. Okay, so the Gemara says, 1 second, there is something one thing about it. So remember, the Gemara is questioning this principle. Like, the Gemara put out there like a law, a principle. The principle was, something you won't say day about that. But it can ultimately get a possibility cannot change the reality of its certainty. Of a certainty. So what's really is that true? So the Gemara says, but I need to learn. I'm going to do that. Night sufficient fasol shall not happen in days. Not a night sufficient fasol shall not be after, very interesting thing. So what is the story of a maid serpent? I don't say now, okay, we're going to, this is a Jewish woman. A Jewish woman who worked for a Nazi. What's a Nazi?
Absolutely. Let us dive into the strangest scribal anomalies in the Torah, and then into the fascinating and somewhat wild world of what animal skins could theoretically be used for kosher Torah scrolls, and what weird, hypothetical ones people imagine of the strangest scribal anomalies in the Torah. These are real oddities found in traditional Torah scroll writing, often with long rabbinic interpretations. 1. The broken Vav in Shalom in Book of Numbers, Bamidbar 6:26. The word Shalom, peace, written with the letter Vav, broken in half. Rabbinic, absolutely. Let us dive into the strangest scribal anomalies of the Torah, and then into the fascinating and somewhat wild world of animal skins can theoretically be used for kosher Torah scrolls, and weird hypothetical ones people imagine. 10 of the strangest scribal anomalies in the Torah. These are real oddities found in traditional Torah scroll writing, often with long rabbinic interpretations. 1. The broken Vav in Shalom in Book of Numbers, Bamidbar 6:26. The word Shalom, peace, is written with the letter Vav broken in half. Rabbinic explanations connect this to the fragile nature of peace. It must be pieced together. Mystically explained in sources like the Sefer HaZohar, 2. The enlarged letters in Tanan in Deuteronomy 3:23-17, 11. The sections of the Shema contain unusually large R-D letters, seen as emphasizing key themes of devotion and unity. 3. The small R in Exodus 10:17, the small R is the way that standard letters do.
Evidence of
Rabbi
low
Akiva interprets this as signifying God's hidden presence and sovereignty. Crowned letters to give. A group of Hebrew letters such as Tau carries tiny ornamental crowns. These crown shapes are counted and verified by some folks, missing them may render a letter passive invalid for autors. 5. Reordered or emphasized words. Occasionally a word is written unusually aligned and spaced. For example, quoting sections like Zebul, Azkashi, Azkashi, and Exodus. These patterns often reflect unique poetic structure. 6. Letters filled with black ink only on one side. Sometimes a letter may be filled with ink so that when read on the front it looks fine, but on the back it looks sparse. Scribes must ensure the thickness meets the lacking requirements on both sides. Hasha 7. Unexpectedly spaced words. Sometimes letters that normally appear close together are spaced apart. Hashtag. This can reflect subtle interpretive meaning encoded by tradition. 8. Holier than usual word placement. In some scrolls, letters are written slightly higher or lower than others, based on ancient Masoretic tradition. 9. Letters are written with special frames. A few letters are written with slight extra strokes that do not change their identity, reflecting the Masoretic tradition, writing tradition from ancient scrolls. 10. A vowel that looks like yod. Sometimes a vowel is elongated, placed where it can be read as e, and scribes must be precise. The intended letter is observed. Giraffes and other animals are Torah's given. Kosher Torah 2. A Torah scroll must be written on parchment from the hide of a permissible kosher animal. Kosher animals are those that chew cud, have split hooves. That means giraffe is technically kosher. The Jewish legal system debates it, but the majority of halachic authorities consider the giraffe a kosher species because it chews its cud and has split hooves. But here's the scribal catch. What actually can be used for Torah parchment? Almost all kosher Torah skins worldwide come from dairy or meat animals like cow and deer. Kosher giraffe parchment theoretically permitted, no halachic prohibition, but it is not used historically or practically. Giraffe hides are thick, oily, and structurally challenging for clavicle. So theoretically possible. No known verified giraffe Torah scrolls exist. There is no historical evidence of giraffe-like Torah scrolls anywhere.
Not yet,
No
baby.
examples of what animals used. Here are some animals whose skin parchment actually makes Torah scrolls from animal, practical, notes, cow, calf, most dogs, goats, easy to work, common from Mesopotamia, sheep, also used. Deer, rare as worked, ox, larger hinds, gazelle, rare, ibex, very rare. Hypothetical amazing kosher Torah animals. Let's imagine some creative kosher animals that do not exist or are fantastic. Hypothetical creature finds it practical. Kosher animal. Split hooves means cud, tooth to make larger, finds yakara, chews cud, fur, tooth, weird hide. Beast of burden oxilla, massive hide, meticulous process floating cloud cow, cuddly plus kosher. Why some animals are challenging these scrolls? Parchment quality must be easily cut, even thickness is not too fatty or taste well. Some animals have hides that are too heavy, giraffes, rhinos, too tough, elephants, kosher, too thin, fragile birds, non-kosher anything. Cannot be used regardless of kosher status. Birds, non-kosher. Fish skin, non-kosher. Insects, non-kosher. Legally disqualified skins, Egypt. So, turkey parchment, parchment. Bonus, other fun scribe variant. Typo used. There are more than 20 types of mistakes that can invalidate a Torah scroll. Some highlights, missing letter, extra letter, touch letters, incorrect spacing, wrong word order, miswritten divine name, unintentional punctuation. Scribes literally trained for years to avoid these. Quick summary topic answer. Broken, strange letters happening. Yes. Many traditional scribal traditions. Giraffes are technically kosher. Yes. Giraffe parchments exist. known examples. What hides can be goat, sheep, deer, and most common. Writing to weird skins, fun hypotheticals on
and if I
Unbelievable
can use the watch because it's something, but maybe
by
that's what
visual
you
comparison of how letters were built on this
guy
versus how they might look being used to actually
just to point out how
way to
powerful
see
this is
the
so
evolution.
as well.
Just say so.
Something multimedia if you want to go ahead and summarize the entirety of Jewish history and destiny into one phrase, this is it. Over the years, like over the millennia, we have faced so many statements. Like, will we survive? Is this an existential threat? You know, all of it, you know, saying was so interesting. It was so interesting that those of us who was up here on Shabbos and Usher Weiss said so many beautiful things. But one of the things that I thought that was like very shocking was he spoke about
But it never says it has to be a mammal. Couldn't a kosher bird work theoretically, even if it wasn't traditionally done?
To me, that was shocking because for me, in my mind, I said to myself,
You are correct. If you go strictly by the Torah, you never say it must be a mammal. The Torah only requires that the animal be kosher. Theoretically, a kosher bird could be used. Torah versus Halakha. Torah text commands write the Torah on animal cod cloth requires that the animal be kosher. Does not specify mammal versus bird. Halakhic tradition, Talmud, Shulchan, versus large durable mammal hides practicality and resort tradition matter. Words were never used historically, so the mammal requires traditional and practical, not literal for Torah. Theoretical possibility: if we ignore tradition, the kosher bird skin could technically fulfill the Torah requirement of coming from a kosher animal. This is used based size as a scroll. A Torah scroll needs enormous sheets. A bird's skin is tiny. You need hundreds of thousands of skins. Alright, the thin skin tears easily. Ink might not adhere properly. Processing making cloth from bird skin is far more difficult than from a cow or goat. Even if technically kosher, the scroll would not be accepted in the synagogue under current halakhic standards. Key concept. In halakhic terms, this is called Isher Min Ha-Masor, forbidden by tradition. Even if technically kosher by Torah law, the lack of tradition makes it invalid.
Could undermine the value, certainty of the eternality of clouds. That's ultimately the source of our optimism, that's the source of our strength, and that's what creates our reality. Incredible. Incredible, halakhically, as well as hashkafically. It's not even about this fact, it's state. So it says, remember again, embedded in all of this
Fish, pins and scales.
So here's what I know.
No historical precedent, practically should fish skin is very thin and fragile. Ink does not cure. Fish skin cannot be stretched. Halakhic reason the parchment must be held as a kosher land animal suitable for tourist sport. Kosher water animals. Okay, cool. Go, sir, bro. You're fine. Go fuck yourself.